Hey guys, Andy here with Greenbelt Academy, and I'm super excited for this new video. So as you know, the Greenbelt body of knowledge is changing here in August, and so I wanted to start creating some new content to help you prepare for this new version of the body of knowledge. And so that's what today's all about. I'm going to explain this new concept on the exam called business continuity planning. By the way, if you're nervous or concerned about these new topics being added to the body of knowledge, stick around to the end of the video. I've got a great free resource to help you prepare and learn those brand new topics on the exam. All right, let's head over to the computer and get started. All right, let's take a look at today's topic. This is all about business continuity planning. Remember, if you're preparing for the Greenbelt exam, after August of 2020, the new body of knowledge goes live, and one of those new topics on the exam is business continuity planning. And so that's what I want to focus on today, is I want to help you understand what this means and how you as a Greenbelt can use this mindset to identify projects to help your business mitigate business continuity risk. The other reason I'm highlighting words like risk management is because fundamentally that's what business continuity planning is. It's going through the risk management process and thinking about your business and identifying potential risks that might stop your business from continuing. So let's go and jump into this. Like I just mentioned, if you look at the definition of business continuity planning, it is fundamentally a risk management exercise where our goal is to identify and quantify the risks to business continuity. What does that term mean? Business continuity just means value delivery. You as a business, or we as a business, are trying to deliver value on a continuous basis to our customer. So when we talk about risk to business continuity, what we're really asking is, what might stop your business from continuing, right? Those are risks. And so we need to go through the risk management exercise to essentially identify and address those risks to business continuity. Now, everything has to start with your value stream. If you want your analysis to be comprehensive, you need to think about your entire value stream, starting from your suppliers all the way through to your distributors. Because at any point in your value stream, right, any disruption at any point in your value stream can cause a business continuity event. So it's really important to make sure that if you're going to do this comprehensively, to think about your entire value stream. Once you have that, right, and you have a list of all of your suppliers and distributors and everything that you need to deliver value, you can start going through the brainstorming exercise to identify potential business risks. Now, a handful of key ones that I want to talk about are things like single source suppliers. If you buy a component from a single vendor and it's the only vendor you can get it from, that inherently represents some level of business continuity risk. Because if that vendor chooses to stop doing business with you or has a disruption of their own, you're naturally going to be affected by that disruption. If we've learned anything over the last 18 months, it's that supply chain issues can stop your business from continuing. So when you're doing that brainstorming, make sure to focus on single source suppliers because those are inherently risky. The other thing to focus on or to look for in your value stream are single points of failure. This could be equipment or tooling or any asset that you use in your value stream that is essentially a single point of failure, meaning that it's the only thing that does that particular step in that operation. Equipment is most often a single point of failure. If you have one item that does all of your packaging for one product, that piece of equipment is a single point of failure. It's the only thing that can do that job. So look out specifically for single points of failure, because again, those have some inherent level of risk. Once you've identified all of the potential events that could occur that might shut your business down, you want to quantify risk. The way you're going to do this business continuity planning is you're going to take a risk-based approach. What is the riskiest event that we need to address first? And the only way to do that is to quantify risk. Now, if you're already familiar with risk management, it is a combination of two different attributes. The severity of that event, which for us is essentially the impact on the business. If that supplier were to fail, if that distributor were to stop, if that piece of equipment were to break down, how long would the business be shut down for? What is the impact on business continuity, right? That's kind of the severity side. The second attribute of risk management is probability. What is the likelihood of that occurring? What is that we've got this one vendor? What is the probability that they're unable to supply us with that component? Or let's say we have a piece of equipment. What is the probability that that equipment goes down and stays down for a long period of time. That's kind of the second half of this equation. And if you quantify both of those things, you can ultimately calculate a risk score for every risk event. In fact, in a second, I'm going to show you what this looks like. The next step in the process is to brainstorm potential projects to mitigate risk. Now, this is where we as greenbelts come into play. We fundamentally, right? Sometimes as greenbelts, we think, oh, we're just reducing variation, we're just eliminating waste, we're just improving processes. But that's why I love this being added to the body of knowledge, because this is another tool in your toolkit. You as a greenbelt can mitigate and address business risks through potential projects. And that's step number 4, is understanding what it would take to mitigate the risks that you just identified. Now, to help you focus, step 5 is all about prioritization. Use the cost-benefit analysis to identify the most important project. What solution is going to mitigate the most amount of risk? And that's what I need to focus on. Let me give you an example here. Let's say you've got your value stream and you've identified some events. This is what a very basic business continuity planning table might look like. So everything starts over here on the left with risks. You've gone through your value stream. You've identified single source suppliers, right? Let's say you've got 2 of them, supplier A and supplier B, and you've identified single points of failure. Let's say you have a piece of equipment that it's the only a piece of equipment that does what it does, right? If that equipment were to fail, the value stream would stop. The first thing to think about is the impact. How long, or what would be the business impact if that supplier or that equipment failed? So let's go through this ranking, right? I've got low, medium, high. Low being the lowest impact, right? Let's say this particular supplier only sends us one item, and it's an item that we don't use on our flagship product. And, if it were to happen, it wouldn't have a major impact on revenue or things like that. That's a pretty low impact. Let's say, though, on the other hand, that this piece of equipment is a shared resource that covers multiple products that are your highest revenue generating products. And if that piece of equipment were to fail, the impact on your business or on your revenue would be quite high, right? That's why we're giving it a 3. So you can give it a qualitative score, low, medium, high. You can also give it a quantitative score, 1, 2, and 3. The next thing to think about is the probability. Let's say we're talking about supplier A, and when we really dive into it and look into it, their financial health is poor, they're signaling that they're about to go out of business, or they've signaled that they're having their own supply chain issues that they're trying to work through. The probability of them being unable to ship you parts and keep your business flowing is pretty high. That's pretty high, right? That's a 3. Let's say supplier B, we've got a mediocre relationship with them. They've recently increased the price on us. They're doing okay financially. We're going to identify that as probably a medium probability in terms of, how likely are they to actually stop shipping this product. And then let's talk about this piece of equipment. Now that we look into it, it's quite old. So not only would it have a high impact on the business if it were to go down, but it's aging, it's having more failures more often, and the probability that this piece of equipment breaks is quite high. And so we rank that as a 3. Now that we've evaluated the impact and the probability, we can calculate a risk score for all of these different events. Risk number 1, we take a 1 times a 3 gives us a 3, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, and now we know that this piece of equipment represents the biggest risk to business continuity. Now we have to move on and talk about solutions. What are things we could do to mitigate these risks? Now, there's a bunch of different things, right? Maybe for supplier A, because they've signaled that they're likely to go under or they're having supply chain issues, maybe it's time to find an alternate supplier, right? Maybe we have to go out and find an alternate. For supplier B, they're not going to go out of business, but maybe we need to mitigate a little bit of that risk through extra inventory and maybe a new long-term contract with that vendor to essentially say, hey, we want to guarantee parts for the next 2 years or 3 years. We want to mitigate some of this probability here through inventory and a new contract. Now, for this piece of equipment, there's options, right? You need to brainstorm potential options. Option A might be buying a new piece of equipment. It's old, it breaks down a lot, and it's a single point of failure. Maybe we need to go out and buy a bunch of equipment. Now, that might have a lot of cost. It might be really expensive. There might be a long lead time. Maybe that's not a tenable solution. Option B is to go out and say, okay, we're going to buy spare parts for every item on this piece of equipment, And we're going to get a maintenance contract with the original vendor where they're going to come in every month, do preventive maintenance, and they're going to guarantee that if the equipment does break down, they can get it back up and running in 3 days. Maybe option B mitigates the most amount of risk for the cost. And that's kind of the last step in the activity, is doing this cost-benefit analysis. Which of these projects mitigates the most amount of risk for the least amount of effort or cost? And that should be our focus as Greenbelts, to help, again, manage business risk or business continuity risk for our company. All right, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're preparing for the Greenbelt exam and you know that the body of knowledge is changing, I want to share a great free resource with you. This is a free course I put together that covers the 14 new tools that are being added to the body of knowledge. We just covered business continuity planning. That's in chapter 6, but there's a bunch of other videos: spaghetti diagrams, design V&V, the Kano model, gap analysis, Andon and Jidoka. If you want to get that completely free resource, head over to greenbeltacademy.com/new tools. Sign up. It's completely free. Also, remember, if you love this video, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button. That way other people just like you can find the same free content and I can help them on their journey to become a Greenbelt. And if you're on that Greenbelt journey, remember, hit that subscribe button. That way, as I publish new content, you get notified and you continue learning and continue growing and ultimately pass the Greenbelt exam. All right, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.